have with Dexter now is that the only thing he says is about our model. And the thing is, we have to see in this debate, is the principle in itself good? Should we follow the principle of global approval or not? Because that's the point. It's not about will some companies somehow leverage the politicians. This is not about will some states somehow undermine the systems. We will talk about that too, but the main principle still stands because they haven't counter-argued with that. We have to see, is global approval necessary and useful for us? If someone undermines the system, we have to find ways of punishing them, of course. I'm going to have 4 main points today to prove this. First of all, scientific eagerness, because they had this big point about people being paranoid about scientific research. First of all, we adjust this from the model. We told you we're going to send scientists there who can analyze the entire project and judge it as being dangerous or not, first of all. Second of all, they said, you know, the scientists will be accused themselves. Well, the problem is, if the politicians would want recognition, then they would want power, then what would they do? They would send their best scientists so that they could get the best possible analysis on that, you know, on that project, so that they get the more information. That's how it works. The states want information. That's why we want to send the scientists. Yes, the mic is not working. I don't know how to fix that. Moreover, big countries. They told us that big countries will pummel down the small countries. But here's the thing. USA cares a lot about its image. They're not going to pummel down a small country because they're going to risk their image. And they will not do that. They will much rather allow development in smaller countries rather than to look abusive. Because that's what big countries care for, much more than holding the monopoly. Because if they break that image, then at that point they lose their entire power. Because, you know, power is about how big of a power someone thinks they have. It's not about, you can't have power without people thinking you have power. So big countries will still try to keep their image. What about small countries? What will happen to them? We will see small countries will want a part of it. They will want to be involved. They will want to have a word to say, whereas now they are being ignored, and only the big fish, as Dexter said, only the big fish do the job. If we apply this motion, what will happen is that the small countries finally have a say whether or not something should, you know, influence them or not, because the USA can do whatever they want right now, and damaging the small countries and hurting the small countries and the small countries' environment as well, without, you know, no one actually giving care. Yeah.
But you said that big countries care about their image, but in this situation, they just show the image that they're concerned and that they follow what the people demand, people that are paranoid.
You see, you talk about people being paranoid, whereas the same people, you know, right now approve of nuclear energy, which is dangerous. You talk about people being paranoid, whereas we all agree that some research is necessary. That's the global agenda. The people you talk about, the people who are, you know, paranoid about cell phones irradiating their brains are, first of all, not the majority. We should not judge everyone but by the small minority. Second of all, they are not the scientists who will judge the research project. So this point is highly irrelevant. Now, we saw now why the scientific eagerness will happen and people will still want to do science. The second point, responsibility to inform. Because the big issue today on this motion is, do we have, as countries, responsibility to the other countries? Does the scientific research we do today and have an impact on the others? Are we responsible? I'm saying we are responsible. Because you see, when we detonate a nuke in the sky, what happens is that it does not damage only us. It damages the ones around you. It damages the ones across the globe. You know, it damages the small countries which can't argue with you because you're much bigger and you can do whatever you want. So that's why we're saying you should do this, because of this responsibility. Because the big countries are hurting people. Because the big countries can do whatever they want in their scientific research and abuse the environment as much as they want by doing, I don't know, seismic research, by detonating underground nukes, then we have to do something about it. First of all, because it will be moral to do so. We have this moral responsibility. And second of all, because it will be beneficial for both sides. First of all, the big country that is doing the research, or whoever is doing the research, will have the added benefit of feedback. Because, you know, big countries are not abusive by their nature. They would like, probably, we're guessing, that not to abuse people if possible to save their image. As a result, they might like the feedback on how not to blow India off the map by, you know, experimenting with nukes. Moreover, the small countries will benefit as well from this because now they have information, now they have leverage. Now they can say, you know, I'd like to be part of that research you're doing and I could help you a lot. Why don't you let me? Why hold this monopoly over research? What do you think, Dexter?
If you really want to do a research, and can't you just keep it secret? Please explain to me how any country cannot just keep secret something.
Thank you. Well, probably the same way as we know that North Korea does nuclear experiments, the same way we know Iran experimented with nuclear energy. We can basically look at the country's budget and ask them, where, you know, we have $70 billion going somewhere. Are you just planting trees over there? What are you doing? You know, we can find out that you're doing this. That's not the issue. And even if you would secretly do something because of this motion, you would have, all the countries would have a united goal and a united, you know, agenda to put down these countries and to make them respect the norm. Whereas now, it's all every man for himself in the no man's land of research. Now, third point, research equality. The current states, the problem today we have in the research is that, as they said, some people are ahead of their time. Problem is that these people try to hold their grip on this aheadness that they have, on this advancement. So what do? The same thing that America does, you know, when they build the most nukes on the planet, then tell every other country, you cannot build nukes, only I can build nukes. It's the same thing. And I'm sure America would not like to build its secret drones that is building and killing civilians because it would like to share with others. So this is where the fourth point comes in, the trust and cooperation. And the moment you share information with others, because you're forced to, in that moment you can trust another country more. Because you're no longer wondering, what are they doing? What are they planning? What will they experiment upon the environment I'm part of, on the planet I'm part of? So what will happen is not only they will have more scientific research agreements, more cooperation on this part, but we'll have more diplomatic agreements as well. We would have an economic agreements as well, because in the moment we no longer have to fear what kind of weapons the other country is developing. We have more trust and we can have diplomacy finally working and trusting at a global level. So what we've told you today is, first of all, the scientific eagerness will be the same. The paranoid people are a minority. We should not judge by them. Second of all, we have a moral responsibility to inform the people we affect, and we also could benefit from this as well. Third of all, to equalize the research inequality that has happened, we have to use the motion. Thank you very much.